Infamous communist butcher Vladimir Lenin once said, "Give me 4 years to teach the children, and the seed I have sown will never be uprooted." Listen, there is a war on the mind of your children. The communists are in the schools, the teachers with Bill Ayers. They've come into the schools and they've tried to take us by force. Take us by force by corrupting the youth. But thank God there are warriors in the trenches fighting against this, and especially against the CRT, gender identity indoctrination. One of those warriors is Sloan. She's the president of the national parent group Education First Alliance PAC. She's also a very good journalist. I love reading her stuff. An education activist, she's very, very active, and a mom of two. She's a Harvard grad, too, and a contributor to The Federalist, The National Pulse, The American Conservative, and Law Enforcement Today. Now, Sloan's team is working to expose individuals and corporations who, they profit. They actually are making money off the indoctrination in schools. And she's here to detail who's doing it, how they're doing it, and how you can stop it. Welcome to the Stu Peters Show, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure to host such an expert on this. So let's get right into this. What has your team found in regard to the indoctrination? I read here that there are parent advocates who are getting to come to the schools to indoctrinate kids, adult advocates, adult support staff who enforce this new pronoun culture.
Well, it's worse than the pronoun culture. I love your intro, and you're talking about what we do is we follow the money. As investigative journalists, primarily, we follow the money. And so you're talking about the gender support plans that are now not only in North Carolina, but districts all across this country. And let me tell you how they work. They are plans in various school districts that will, if a child says, yes, I don't feel like a girl today, or I don't feel like a boy today, these are gender support plans is the name of them. And it is a way to have the staff of the school have a detailed plan to socially transition a child behind the backs of parents, and to assign a support adult to that child inside of that school that is not the parent. Now, this is sponsored by a company called Pearson Education. Pearson Education is the oldest, most venerable, and largest textbook company in the world. And it happens to be a partner of Disney. And in fact, to lead Pearson, Pearson actually hired the chairman of Disney International a couple years ago. And now you can see how the culture of Disney has gone to Pearson, and in every single state, a lot of the classrooms all over the country.
So they've gone from grooming to grifting the minds of our children. Look, I'm not happy with Disney. It's not the Disney we grew up with. Not that Disney necessarily was great all along. I'm sure you've seen some of the things that some of these cartoonists, these perverts, injected into some of the films, of course. Now, but
Yeah.
this issue, right? Yeah, as a mother, I mean, as someone who's trying to become a father, I'm trying to adopt a child right now. I'm not sure if I'd ever let my child watch a Disney movie at this point. But what your team is finding is that there is an active conspiracy between the schools and outside, I'd say outside corporations, to hijack the minds of kids. Now, what else has your team found?
Well, I mean, you're exactly right, and here's how it works. The demand is created by Disney and other entertainment products. And so by the time a child gets to school, the school is just saying, listen, kids are out there looking at porn already, and, they need an expert adult here to walk them through that. When I say porn, it's not hyperbole. It's actually porn. There are books, one of them namely is Gender Queer, that has schematics of the most graphic, hardcore gay porn that you could ever see, and it's available for all children to see. And we know that if it were not drawn and it were shown actually, it would be illegal, and it still probably is illegal. So they're selling the demand, and then they're filling that demand in the schools. Obviously, this is under the backdrop of schools being closed for up to 2 years in some locations, and the learning loss being just tragic. In fact, here in North Carolina, only 16.7% of eighth graders are on grade level for math, while they are peddling all this stuff. So the way it gets into the classroom, you guys, and I want everybody watching to go to their state education website and look for something called social emotional learning. even in your red states, you're going to have that. That is the vehicle by which identity exploration, is what they call it, makes its way into the classroom. And when you read that and you see that, you can be sure that grooming is afoot.
Social emotional learning. I don't need the school to adjust my child's social and emotional learning. I don't want them anywhere near my children with this gay pornography. My
Yeah.
goodness. Listen, I think a lot of parents, maybe you saw this Sloan, with your organization, a lot of parents started seeing what their kids were actually learning when they were at home during the pandemic, during the lockdowns. Many people said, my goodness, this is what they're teaching you? They're not preparing you for the future. I see this every day, Sloan. People don't know how to read or write, do math, simple math, okay? But apparently they're learning how to hate you and me, and they're also learning quite a lot about sexual topics in the sense that lead them to maybe gender dysphoria and gender transition. None of these things have any place in the schools. Now, you mentioned Action Step. Well, this is an action platform. A lot of people are running for local offices now. They're running for school board. They're running for local state representatives and such, especially here in the state of Florida. What advice do you have and information can you arm some candidates and sitting school board members with to fight this? Make sure Pearson, Disney, and no other groomers get into the classroom.
Well, Florida has taken a great leap on this. In fact, if you look at the textbooks that are math books, you'll see that either they are Pearson or Pearson affiliates. So I think that's a great approach. But for the rest of us, we live here in North Carolina, and we've got Republicans and Democrats doing this. So we have to remember this is party agnostic. So this agenda, money is green, baby. And so if there's money to be made and deals to be done, we have to look for that. So the first step that I want everybody to get used to is take your goggles off, right? Your bias goggles, and say, I don't care who's doing it. I'm going to go after it. So I want everybody to look at their state level Board of Education. You want to look for something called CASEL, CASEL, the largest social emotional learning platform in the country. Guarantee you that you'll have that in the state. That is a Zuckerberg Gates enterprise. And that is, of course, bringing in all of this transgenderism, which, of course, is the culture of death. We know that because you can't procreate, obviously. And, Bill Gates is into population control, et cetera. I don't think I have to tell you that. So we need to be looking at the state level. And here's why. You can run on the Board of Education. I hope a lot of people listening today are doing that. But you have to understand what the state is doing to actually come into the classroom. And as a school board member, you're going to have to understand how to erect a firewall between you and the state and you and the feds, because that's your job as a school board member.
Well, I think the firewall that many parents are trying to erect is honestly, it's a firewall between perverts and their children. Many of the things that are being taught to our kids without our consent, it's an abomination. And what you noted here, there is a fight right now. It's active. It's a spirit that is trying to hijack our role as parents, as citizens. I think the biggest thing I'd love to hear a little bit more in this last 1 minute we have left in this interview. Your organization, you've been hard at work discovering this. You've got the words now. We know what to look for. We know if we hear castle at a school board meeting or even a state level and during legislature about funding, okay, we know what to do. But specifically in this, the funding, you said the money, we follow the money. Other than Pearson, other than Bill Gates and Zuckerberg, who else is trying to fund the groomer empire, the groomer industrial complex in this country to mess with our kids' minds and cause them to be killers and perverts?
Well, I mean, there's a long list. Google also would be leading the way, because listen, education is trendy, right? So there's malicious actors, malevolent actors. I named those earlier. But there's also other companies that are global companies, and just to make a buck, they'll do that. And so they'll engage in developing these products, and they will gladly push this stuff down. But you've got people like, individuals inside of Disney. And again, Disney is a culture. And once you start spreading that out, which we have seen with Pearson, right? We had the chairman go to Pearson. Once you get these individuals outside and spreading, there's no telling, unless we contain it, there's no telling the other companies that this will infect and the people that it will affect.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us. You've actually infected my mind with some truth, the audience mind with some truth. We know what to look out for. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Lindell, and my employees and I want to thank each and every one of you for all your support during these times. As you all know, I've been canceled by box stores. My pillow's been canceled by shopping channels. They've tried to debank me. They wanted to cancel my voice and your voice. Well, today I'm going to pass the savings on to you. You get my Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $39.99 with your promo code STU. And if you order today, I'm going to give you my book free. This book is not just about addiction, it's entrepreneur, it's a story, it's the American dream. It's what we can lose if we lose our voice. And Stu Peters here has one of the greatest shows on television because he speaks out like it is. He tells the news. What a concept. You guys need to keep supporting him and support all of us. The money goes to keep things that we're doing out there in the country to help save our country. Thank you all, and God bless.